Hello, hello. All right. So I know it's been forever since I have been on here. I am so sorry. But I have just been so crazy. This time of year is nuts. I mean, this whole year has been nuts. You know, like you guys need to like work me out of a job for real. Because it's so much. IEPs are a lot of work. You know, I have an IEP here. Look, you know, I mean, notes everywhere on it. I have it blurred, so no, you can't see it all, but I'm sure you can see the marks. And I highlight and, you know, I'm literally going through this IEP page by page and writing all the things because no, it's not finalized. It's crap. You guys didn't change the things you were going to change. So now you need to redo it. But, you know, oh my gosh, I need vacation. Anybody doing anything fun for Christmas? You'll have to post in the comments what you're doing. Post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. And let me know how you guys are doing, okay? Because I really do care. Things have just been so crazy. And I don't know about you guys, but I have anxiety. And when I have so many IEPs back to back to back, I can only solely focus on that. And, you know, my type A personality of being very meticulous with everything that I do, so that everything's there, which is why I have to say, I pride myself on my timelines because they always get it done. All right. They're like my, you know, my next step before I, you know, will file for due process and request mediation, and then we settle mediation. But it's my, okay, this is what's up. This is what happened, date, and everything that happened. Send it to the superintendent, and usually something happens because superintendents typically tend to say, get this off my plate. This isn't my problem. Deal with it. Do your job. So, okay, with that said, I need to breathe, right? Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP, and I hope parents like you become the CEO of their IEP meeting. Before I get started with today, I want you guys to know the membership call, the third in this series, is tonight. If you miss the other two, who cares? Because the other two are on recording and on the membership. Okay. So you can watch it at any time. This series is the IEP process. I'm walking parents through, you know, understanding this process because it's definitely not you go to an IEP that's 1 or 2 hours and it's done, or you may go to another one, because I'll tell you, and I have people on here, 2 of my clients actually, where an IEP takes a long time to put together. All right. It's a federal document. You want it meticulous. I don't know about you, but I want your child to have an excellent education and what I call an on-point IEP. And, you know, there's no negotiating there. All right. You negotiate on things that you don't care about that much, that you're willing to flex on, that you're willing to, you know, let things go here and there. But I don't negotiate on what's needed and appropriate. All right. That's not a negotiating matter. All right. That's what your child needs. They are obligated by law to provide it. And so what I will negotiate on is in supporting the teachers, how that's going to look, making things as easy as possible for teachers, because the good teachers we want to keep. And so I'll work with them with that kind of stuff, but I will not negotiate on what's needed and appropriate. So in moving forward, if you haven't joined the membership, the link I'm going to put in the comments, but it's also, I believe, in the link to this recording. So it's super cheap, guys. It's like under $50 a month. You join, you get 2 Zoom meetings, 3 hours a month with me, where we're training, we're looking at IEPs, we're looking at documents, we're looking at things where even recordings that you're hearing me, and the things that I'm saying in IEP meetings. Just this morning, I had an IEP meeting, and, we had pretty decent IEP meetings up until this morning, where I knew this is the transition phase. Okay. The first meeting's talking about evaluations. We're talking about issues and concerns, etc. The next one is, time has gone by and we're reviewing evaluations. Sometimes things get tough, but not too bad. And then today happens. And, that's how it is. That's when the nastiness comes out. And, kind of like teachers, I kind of feel like, it was said to me from someone, hey, Raven, look at teachers like this. We're just sticking with it. If you think of it like Titanic, when all those 3 guys, they were playing the instrument, and everybody's getting on ships, and the ship is sinking, the Titanic is sinking, and what's happening, right? It's a solemn moment. It's sad. It's, very difficult. People are going to die. And, the women and children are getting on the boats, and these 3 guys are continuing to play the music, right? And then one of them starts to, kind of pack up to go. And then he sees that everybody else isn't going. So he gets his stuff back out and he comes back to play. And, it was said to me, Raven, that's how teachers are right now. We're just trying to stay afloat and stay above water. And so we have to look at that and look at the importance of it, and that whole thought process of, they're trying to do their best. And many of them, are either dictated by schools, they're being treated like crap by, the districts and, the administrators. And there's all these things going on. And many teachers, especially when they have difficulty with parents, believe it or not, it's more so gen ed than special ed, where they have a lot of problems with the parents, but typically it's how they're treated, the way they're, made into puppets. And, a lot of those things are happening. And statistically, with interviewing teachers, that's what's being said is, administration or things like that. And, that's a very difficult thing to deal with. And so we really got to support our good teachers, get rid of the bad. Bye. See you later. It's fine to get rid of the bad and bring in the good. But we definitely want to keep those good teachers. And I just want you guys to know that, so that you know that even though you have to advocate and even though you have to fight, you want to not post the blame on good teachers. Okay. So in explaining just, what happened today, it's important to understand that, in this meeting, I had to lay down the line, so to speak. Okay, this child isn't making progress. You guys haven't made progress with this child in 3+ years. And, there's no more recoup. There's no, oh, we'll fix it now. Oh, we'll come up with a different methodology for reading. All right. And, there is such a saying where it's too little, too late. When so much time goes by, you lose that trust factor. All right. Because a violation, all right, is, okay, and I'm going to say it in a statement, is actually not and failing to recommend what is needed and appropriate for a student in order for them to make progress. That is a violation within itself. One violation right there. If they don't make recommendations for your child who may or may not be making progress, or making trivial progress, or making limited progress, and something needs to change, and this is a problem I'm finding everywhere, is why don't they come to the table? And this is teachers too. This is everybody. Why do you not just pick up the phone? And this is a phone call I will take because it's not, really an on record kind of thing. Just saying, hey, let's have an IEP meeting. I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to, request an IEP meeting. And this is why. I just wanted to let you know, because sometimes teachers like to have that, personal relationship. And that's a phone call I'm okay with taking, because it's not talking about the IEP. It's simply saying, hey, mom, hey, dad, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to put in an email so that we can have a conversation and have an IEP meeting in order to discuss, Sarah's progress, because, I'm finding, a lot of issues here. and I'm needing your help and support. And we're going to need to get together as a team to figure this out so that we can make the right recommendations and make sure that the education of Sarah is adequate and appropriate. And if we need to make any amendments or changes, then we can do so at that time. Okay. For some reason, people are scared to death to do that. I have no idea why. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's so simple to put in amendments like that or make a recommendation that can go into play. One of the things, I've been talking to a lot of parents about recently is I have a parent she's even going to law school. Okay. She's highly intelligent. And, it's crazy to me that, you can have zero education or you can be highly educated. And bottom line, it doesn't matter when it comes to an IEP or an IEP process. Okay. And anybody can be an amazing advocate. All right. Which is why my membership is going to be to die for you, because it's going to do this one thing. And this one thing is what I wish I had that I didn't, that took me 6.5 years to figure out at my child's expense. Okay. Used to cry. Sometimes I cry when I say that, but I've gotten stronger because she's doing so much better now. But it used to be, I couldn't even say it without crying. Right, Bill? I mean, I've gotten stronger with it, because what parent wants to feel that way? Like you just failed your child because you didn't know what to do. So I call it, I got my Google PhD. And let me explain this to you. All right. So all of you are intelligent human beings. You're here, you're listening. Obviously, you want the best for your child. And, because if you're listening to my crazy ass, you obviously want the best for your child, because I'm nuts. And, I'm told that all the time by parents is you're one of a kind. And these are like not, oh, you're so sweet, one of a kind. Okay. It's you're one of a kind. There's no one out there like you because you just say what you mean. It just comes on out. Or, I had another parent, she's from New York, and, New Yorkers like in the city area who are from the city or even moved a little bit to the suburbs, their demeanor and their way of presenting things, I should say, in a tactful way. And my client will laugh at this when she hears this, is because she listens to me and so she watches it later. So she's going to know I'm talking about her. Is, she said, there's nobody at all. They're not used to you. You just shocked the heck out of them with your email. Whatever, they're so shocked they don't know what to do. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to be about like any other advocate. Please, if I'm ever the same as somebody, please tell me, because I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to be me. And if that is too abrasive or if that's too much for somebody, then they need to find somebody else. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Typically, people come to me when they're done. When I say done is when you're like, okay, I've fought, I've done what I need to do. I've done the very best I can, and I'm done. I'm freaking done. I'm not letting my child do this anymore. They've lied to me. They've told me that this is going to change. It hasn't changed. They've done this. They've done that. I'm done. Now the parent, I always say there's different types of advocates. So, other parents who are still at that phase of, it's like phase 1. All right. Where you're like perturbed, you're pissed off, you're trying to get an IEP for your child, but you don't want to ruffle feathers. And you definitely don't want to call me. All right. Because I ruffle feathers. And so, I always say you want to come to me at phase 2.5 and 3. Okay. But bottom line, don't forget, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. So, that's just important to remember, because you want to ruffle feathers. All right. I tell parents, all the time, your Google PhD only gets you so far. All right. We all, as parents, exactly what I did, we study the internet. We look everything up. I looked everything up on autism at the time. I didn't know she had dyslexia. That came a while later. And, because usually autism accompanies something. A lot of times it's ADHD. A lot of times it's dyslexia, etc. Very limited amount of time, or times, I should say, does a child just have autism? A lot of times it's in twos, it's in pairs. So, I tell parents, this Google PhD that we all go out and get, all right, because we read everything under the sun until 3:00 in the morning, right? We've all done it. And we do it every day, and we keep doing it, and we do it, and we do it for months and months on end. And we have all this knowledge in our head. But it's kind of like you can go to medical school, but you can't get out of medical school and go do heart surgery. All right. So you can have all this knowledge, all this medical knowledge, but that doesn't mean you can do everything under the sun because you have all this knowledge. And knowledge doesn't help you take action. All right. Knowledge is the basis and what you need after you take action. Let me explain that. This is really important. In order to be successful in the IEP process, you have to be able to take action and use the knowledge that you have in order to back it up. Okay? So you take action, you back it up with your knowledge and how you need to back it up in order to support the facts, the data, and everything that goes with it. It all depends on the situation. Okay? So you can know idea. All right? I know idea by the back of my hand, but I can't go speak idea to a team. But I can say, in accordance to idea, XYZ needs to be put in place. And the reason it needs to be put in place is because without it, Sarah will not make progress based on her needs and reflective of her data in the evaluations that state blah, 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 blah. So do you see how I used the knowledge I have on idea to support that Sarah needs X, and the reason she needs X is based on the data of her evaluations. All right. And so those are the things that are so, so, so important to learn and what the membership is about. All right. It's about hearing me on recording. It's about seeing IEPs. It's about watching me tear up a whole IEP. All right. From page 1 to page whatever it is. All right. And how my brain works when I go through it. And why the next time I go through it, you're going to see me change some things or add some things to what I previously added. Because I never just go through an IEP one time. All right. Because the second time and sometimes the third time, I find something else. And that's why it's a process. And it's a process that takes time. That is so important to pay attention to. Okay. So that's really important to know. The next thing we're going to talk about. So if you haven't joined the membership, join, click the link, and join us tonight. And then you can watch 1 and 2 of the 4-part series later on. All right. It's on recording for you forever. All right. The next thing is the things that you cannot, all right, miss out on. And you can't not do, which is if you don't do it, you're in trouble. All right. So how did I say it? what you must do no matter what. All right. And that is, all right, number 1, use your voice. You have 2 choices. We all have choices in life. Whatever choices we make comes with something, right? Either action being taken or non-action being taken would be one scenario. So if you don't use your voice, then things are not going to happen. Okay? If you're afraid to use your voice, that's why people get advocates. But at the same time, you have to at least still learn to use your voice. All right? You have to look at it like this. All right? I don't care what any other advocate tells you. All right? I don't. Because this whole collaboration thing that everybody talks about that I want to participate in, okay, is bullshit. All right. It's not what happens initially. Okay. And a lot of times it starts out in a couple of different ways. But one's is it'll start out really nice. They're really nice to you after I send my first email. And it's really nice until things start getting, into the nitty gritty and the things that we're wanting and that we're requesting of them. And then bam, they turn nasty or they start playing games. Or, there's always, in two-party states, how they like to control is they like to say, oh, you can't record. I got a way around that now. I don't even play with that anymore. I struggled with that for a long time. And now I figured it out. I'm one, I will figure it out. And so they can't get away with it anymore because I don't let them get away with it. All right. And the reason I don't let them get away with it is because per the ADA, they have to have an alternative to recording, if not allow you to record. So again, you use that knowledge to back up what it is you need to do. All right. Factual knowledge based on things that are pretty typical of most people. And, you use it and you do it. All right. Or you say, we're not meeting. And then they're wasting time because they don't want to record, which is looked down upon with OSEP. Okay. So you have to use your voice. If you're worried about what other people are thinking, oh my gosh, if I was worried about what everybody else thought of me, I would not be able to live my life. You can't do that. I mean, poor Harry and Meghan. Who gives a flying shit what the hell they're doing? I don't know why everybody cares. Why does everybody care about what Harry and Meghan are doing? Because I could give a shit. But everybody's got something to say. And let me tell you, people are going to gossip. That is what people do. So you have to get it in your mind that you don't care. All right? Oh, someone's calling. Okay. You got to not care. Stop caring. Now, don't get me wrong. If someone said something really hurtful, that doesn't mean it wouldn't hurt my feelings. I am human. All right? But I have to let it rub and roll off my shoulder. Because with what I do, people are always going to talk. Always. But at the end of the day, those people that talk typically come to me. And, because they want something done. They get to that point too. All right. And, we all talk. I talk. You talk. That's normal. But you can't let your voice be stopped or, trampled on because you're worried about what somebody's going to say. All right. You just can't worry about that. Life's too short, y'all. It is. All right. I learned that when I was hit by a truck crossing the street in 2015. It's too short. It can end really quick, really fast. So don't worry about what other people think. Do you. And as long as you're doing you good, don't worry about anybody else. But the biggest thing with that is school districts. A lot of parents will be like, oh, I'm scared if they're going to retaliate about my child or about me. And, what if they, find this out or find that out? So what? They're not going to retaliate about your child. That happens so rarely, I can count on one hand. Okay. And if it does, then you take action on that really quick. All right. And then number two, if it's on you, again, who cares? Expect that. And when you use that voice and email them, let them know. I expected you to retaliate. Good for you. You lived up to my high standards for you and retaliated. All right. The minute you start advocating for your child, you get 50 million benchmarks. Oh, they're doing wonderful. They're doing awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much progress they're making. It's amazing. All these benchmarks start showing up. I can't tell you how many times that happens. And, when it becomes excessive, I'll say things like, do you guys realize how ridiculous this looks? That all of a sudden you come up with all these benchmarks that, by the way, don't mean anything. They're simply for the teacher and the teacher's knowledge that don't make much of an impact in an IEP or really can be put in as any type of present level because they're really taught to memorize them. And you guys realize that I had an advocate come in, or I started advocating for myself, and all of a sudden you come up with 3 different benchmarks. Do you realize what that looks like? Oh, well, we were going to do them anyway. Right. All right. So you need to start calling them out on these things. I'm not scared to do that. I will do it in a heartbeat. And I do it on purpose because they're so shocked that I did it. That's the point. You want that shit on record. Get it on record. Oh, all of a sudden I start advocating for my child and you want to give me 3 benchmarks. Get that on record. All right. Get things on record. What's fire, Aaron? To do an IEP successfully, you have to know words and put them properly together because the schools are experts at using them against you. Oh my gosh, Bill. You should see this one school district I had to do a timeline for. It's insane. We asked for, I asked for everything under the sun for my FERPA request, and they sent I guess a response to the request, but I ignored it because it literally didn't even have a quarter of what I requested in the FERPA request. I was like, I guess they're going to send the rest later. I don't know. They didn't really reference, here's the FERPA request. And this is the first time a district has done this. And this is after the lady called me. This is in New York. And, the lady called me and said, hey, what is it exactly you want? And in my mind, I'm thinking, because I recorded this conversation. And I said, what do you mean? What do I want? I gave you literally a bullet pointed list. Like, I don't understand your question. And she said, oh, I just wanted to make sure, did you want things like the birth certificate and the shot records and all these kinds of things? I was like, no, I don't need that. That's not even on my list. Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I was just asking. Oh, okay. So when can I expect, the FERPA request? Oh, I'm going to send them to you shortly in 2 different emails. Okay, cool. So 2 days later, I receive an email, but it's not 2 emails, and it didn't even reference a FERPA request, and it had a couple documents, but, this is a high schooler, so I wasn't thinking anything of it. Nothing, and I was just kind of waiting on the rest and whatever. And so I wrote the school and I said, I guess because you all chose not to provide the FERPA documents and their 45 days was not up, but before the IEP meeting, they have to provide all the documents in which you're going to discuss at the IEP meeting in advance of the IEP meeting, whether it's 3 days, 5 days in advance, they have to provide it in advance, dependent on the state and the laws and so forth. But I always ask for it 5 days in advance. California, it's 5 days mandatory, but I always ask for it 5 days in advance so that I can go over it with my client. And they then respond saying, oh, they threw it on me. They said, oh, no, you're the one who didn't respond to our request. Here you go. Here's the email that we sent you. Okay. So I then, of course, respond in a timeline that was all kinds of nice. And then I added to them, I said, when you provide a FERPA request and documents in regards to a FERPA request, you address it as such. You say, here's a copy of the FERPA documents that you requested. And I have an email from one school district. She sent it in like 26 emails. There were so many. And this was a small child. We're talking about a high school. All right. And, I have other teachers that will put a bunch of documents in one email and say that here's all the FERPA documents. Please let me know if you have any questions. Those are the things that mature adults do. Okay. Instead of just sending an email. I mean, she didn't reference the documents at all. And so I then respond and say, and so in these documents, mind you, we're talking 0 PWNs. All right. 1 IEP, one IEP. All right. No meeting notices, none. No meeting notices. Yeah. Data. What's that? What's data? That wasn't part of it either. Recordings. Yeah. Nope. No meeting recordings. They were recorded too. Here's the funny thing too, is they referenced a recording and a meeting and didn't even add that into their so-called documents. Okay. So in my response, I said, oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I didn't know these were FERPA documents because almost all of them have nothing to do with what I requested. You do realize when somebody asks for a FERPA documents, they're specified. All right. Parents should not just say, oh, I want my FERPA documents. Okay, well, what do you want? All right. So I itemize it. It's a nice book of what I want. So why do school districts have the nerve to give me a call and ask me what I want when literally, oh, and if you're on the membership, you guys have my FERPA request. So you know it's a book. All right. I'm like, go check it off. You're an adult. Print it out, check it off. I'm a tangible person, so I get it. Print it off. Print it off. Don't call me asking what do I need when you have the document of what I need. I want all of it. The next thing. So use your voice. That's number one. All right. You have to use your voice. You can't worry about what other people think. You can't not advocate. And it is true. All right. There is no, what is it, y'all? How do you say it? Like, eat your cake and your ice cream. I'm not good with analogies, y'all. Y'all got to help me out. How do you say it? Cake with how do you say it, Aaron? Bill, you're good with this. You can't eat your cake or see, I'm stupid with this shit. Oh my God. Talk to me about IEPs. Talk to me about IEPs. You talk to me about this analogy stuff and it all goes down the toilet. Can't have your cake and eat. That's it. All right. So yeah, I mean, so I understand what the analogy means. So see, I can laugh at myself. All right. If I didn't laugh at myself, you guys, I would make myself nuts with what I deal with every day. So here's the thing is you got to use your voice. So that is number one. And your voice needs to be heard. And I tell my moms and dads that who are super passive, most are, even if they talk to me, I guess normal or whatever, when it comes to the IEP team, it's like it's crickets. And, it's either they're sick and tired of repeating themselves, they're not being listened to, they're not being heard, they don't know how to go about things in the right way, all these normal things that we all go through, right? But you can't have your cake, thank you, Aaron, and eat it too, meaning, all right, you got to pick a side. All right. And it's not really a side because the side you're on and that everybody should be on is the child side. But what I mean by that is you either are going to be an advocate or you are going to be the peacemaker. Pick one. I know. We all wish that we could have our cake and eat it too, like Aaron said, that we could just get along and we could all collaborate and life is just amazing. But you know what? You would be working me out of a job, which I said at the beginning of this live. Can you guys please work me out of a job? Just work me out of a job for 4 weeks, please. But seriously, you got to pick one. I'm sorry to say, if you don't know it now, you're going to figure it out. I promise you. You're going to come back to me and say, Raven was right, because I am. All right. I am not that advocate that is on TikTok that has no expression and is not going to tell you how it is. I'm going to keep it real. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to keep it real. And so realize you got to pick. Peacemaker. This is the side of the peacemaker. Or advocate. All right. Not the devil, even though I can go there. But advocate or peacemaker. Okay. We're not friends. You go to movies with these people? You hang out after school? Now, to all my, this is the year. All right. I have years, guys. Let me tell you about this. So I have years. All right. Like COVID was my year of realizing that I had no more tolerance for speech and language impairment and reading deficits that school districts weren't going to address. I was done with the no's. I was no longer going to accept no. So if you want war, I'm all for war because I was done with hearing the no's. How the hell do you give 1 day a week of speech and language therapy to a child who's nonverbal? If you were in my face, I would punch you in the face, and I've never hit anybody in my life other than spank my kids. So literally, that's how I feel. I mean, I would never do it. I wouldn't. But that's sure as hell how I feel. Like, because in my mind, I'm like, have you guys ever wondered this? Is it just me? I mean, okay, tell me this. Have you guys ever thought in your heads, all right? Because me, I don't think stuff in my head, not say it. I got to say it, all right? I got to get it off my chest, all right? Y'all got to get stuff off your chest. It makes you feel a whole lot better, let me tell you. When you start like throwing up and getting it all off your chest, you feel so good, let me tell you. All right, so tell me this. We have educators. We're in IEP meetings, all right? We all know that can be a shit bucket all in itself. So we're in IEP meetings with educators, and this is no finger pointing, okay? This is just in general that I experience every day, all right? So we have educators, all right? They are educated, okay? They're educated, and they're educators in the school system, all right? And this is not aimed at any one person, all right? This is not aimed at a teacher or a speech therapist. This is just in general. Me too. I'm very transparent. Yeah. Thanks, Stephanie. Yes, we need more of that. Because the more people speak up, the more we're going to cause what's called an uproar. Not to teachers. All right. Here's what I've started doing. But let me finish what I was going to say first, because I'm like all over the place with that. So here's the thing. Is we're talking to these educators, right? So this is what I went through with COVID, and I finally put my foot down. And I'm like, okay, he's 3 years behind. The data's showing that he has a lot of deficit. There's no comprehension. There's, he has working memory concerns. He has executive functioning, deficits. We have a lot of speech impairment things going on. I'm just kind of giving you a generalization. And we have a lot of things going on here. Okay. Reading and speech go hand in hand. They do. All right. If you have trouble with one, you more than likely have trouble with the other. Not always, but more than likely, yes. And writing, same thing. Spelling, same thing. They all are in this big bucket. All right. And so when you have a child that's nonverbal or limited verbally, or just has a speech impairment, how do you argue and say 1 time a week is sufficient? Like, I don't know how to argue with an educator, and I don't. And how do you argue with that? I'm arguing with an educated human being how a child who's nonverbal needs more than 1 time a week of speech therapy? Like, what school did you go to? Like, so here's the question. All right, here's the question. All right, I got a question. I'm getting there. The question is these are educated human beings. Do you think, I'm asking your opinion, do you think that they're just playing dumb? Do you think they are dumb? Or do you think they're ordered to say something before the meeting? All right, so tell me, just put one word. Do you think they're playing dumb? Are dumb? So put playing if you think they're playing dumb. Put are if you think they are dumb, or put ordered if you think they're ordered to say something or say that they recommend a certain something. So playing, are, or ordered. Which one do you think it is? All right. So y'all post that. I'm curious because I have tried to rack my brain. I don't think that they're dumb. So I don't think it's the middle one. It's either they are playing dumb or they're ordered. I think it's a little bit of both. But the thing is teachers, I'm speaking to you now. All right, y'all have the upper hand now. Y'all need to so milk this. All right. So all you teachers out there, milk this. Is the power is in your hands right now. So you actually get to speak your mind just like parents, and more than likely y'all get along. All right. Get rid of administration. Y'all would probably get along. All right. Because teachers, I'm sorry, don't go into teaching because they hate kids. All right. Teachers, this is what happens. So teachers go into teaching. All right. And they're happy. Rocco, no. You hear him? Okay, so they go into teaching and they're all about, the kids and doing the right thing. And I'm sorry, but teachers are amazing, all right? Because they sure as hell don't go into it for the money, all right? And so they like kids. They want what's good for kids, all right? So what happens is when you are happy, you're graduated, you're going and you're going to teach, and that's the profession you want to go into, you have this happy feeling and this newness and excitement, right? Then when you're thrown into what I call a toxic environment, all that shit goes out the window. So that's where we're at right now. All right. We have these teachers that are great. Now, don't get me wrong. Just like we got bad doctors, we got bad teachers, we got bad nurses, we got bad people, we got bad in this world. But in general, teachers go into teaching because they love kids. Then what happens is they get put into this toxic environment, and anybody being put into a toxic environment, their personalities are going to change. All right? Their personalities are going to change. Think about it. If you were in a workplace, you went to work every day and you were put into a toxic environment, as happy as you were to go into this job. Okay, maybe you weren't, but just say. All right? And then you're put into this toxic environment. They're gossiping, or you have a bad boss and he's, verbally abusive, or whatever the case is. All right. Your personality changes. You don't get excited to go to work anymore. You get tired of dealing with the bullshit. You get tired of dealing whatever it is that is causing that toxic environment. And so that's what's happening to teachers, is they're faced with this toxicity and they're taking action. They're either quitting or some of them are telling administration, kiss my ass. I'm not grading stuff at home anymore. And so the upper hand is on them. So I tell teachers all the time, the good ones I know, please keep teaching, hang in there. And guess what? You have the upper hand. When you're ordered to be somebody's puppet, say, no. I'm not doing that. I'm not going down for you. And I tell teachers, if I'm ever in your IEP, all I ask is you be honest. If you're not perfect, like shit, all of us, and something that you're doing isn't working, like we've all had happen to us, that's fine. That means you're human. But all I ask is that you're honest with me so that we can work together to improve this child's education. All right? And I tell people, everybody, not just a teacher, and this is where your voice comes in as well. All right. So you have your voice. All right. So I said I'd give you three tips of what you cannot not do in this process. One is use your voice. You have to use your voice. Number two, all right, is you got to pick one. You're either an advocate or you're a peacemaker. You can't be both. Like Aaron said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I tried to think of that, but I couldn't. She thought of it. All right. And so it's important to realize words matter. How many times have we been taught that in life? Anybody? I mean, I've been told that so many times by my own mother. Raven, words matter. So I will say to anybody on an IEP team, if they play with me, one, and let's just take a step back for a second. One, I am the easiest person. Do not laugh at me, Bill or Aaron. Seriously, guys, listen. Okay, so I am the nicest person when it comes to dealing with children and dealing with people in the educational system. They're the ones, it's their fault that things change. They're the ones that bring the Ursula out in me. It's not my fault that they brought Ursula out. I could not control it. I cannot control it. I can't. I've tried. I can't control myself. All right? I can't. I really can't. So I think Ursula is probably my favorite. Yeah. So in all seriousness, speak your mind. 2, pick one. Pick one. All right? No. What is that? Dalmatians or some crap? No. I'm totally Ursula. So you have got, I'm Raven. All right. So you have got to say, all right, and not hold back. I mean, I say this and I freaking mean it. And I think that's why I get a whole lot of this. Or like, here's the funniest thing. Okay, this morning, and I took a picture of this and I'm sending it to him. All right. So one of the teachers, she always like makes these expressions. Like she thinks she's a bitch. That's what she is. And this is what I'm saying. I'm sitting here saying that this child needs to have specifically designed instruction out of the educational setting because you guys aren't able to do it. It's been several years and you have been unable to educate him in reading. Math, you guys have done great, but reading, it has not happened. So we cannot trust that you guys are going to be able to educate him in the educational setting for reading. So we're not willing to negotiate here. So they're going to take time. They're going to think about it, get back to us on Wednesday. But bottom line, this lady, all right, she's like the coordinator for children with autism and that sort of thing, kind of writes all the IEPs up. She's not their teacher, but she writes all the IEPs up. By the way, she or anybody that writes IEPs that is not directly teaching or working with a child, that shouldn't even be allowed. That should be banned. If you don't work with a child, you sure as hell should not be writing their IEP. Just saying. That might be step number 1, in understanding the IEP process, is you got to know the student. You can't be writing IEPs for all these kids and you don't work with them and act like you know them all, memorize all their stuff, because you don't. We all know that. All right. So she's smirking when I'm saying that. The parent after the meeting is in tears because the meeting got emotional for her, because of the things I was saying was impacting her. Like it would any parent. If your child's not making progress, you go to an advocate for help and support. And then it comes time where all that stuff is kind of put in your face again, and all that stuff is put on the table. It's very emotional for a parent. And for this woman to have smirked, and this isn't the first time she's done this, and this has happened in many meetings that I've had, but we're just going to talk about this morning. All right. Smirk and thinks it's so funny when we're referencing facts about a child. So I went back to my recording. I took a darn picture of her little smirking, and I'm sending it to her with a nice email. Here's your smirk. Here's what I was talking about, because here's the copy, the captions to what I was saying in regards to what you were smirking at. Nice timing. But it just goes to show that she doesn't care. What would she be smirking at? I wasn't saying anything that was, Untrue. I was stating the facts. Precisely. To a T. And she thought it was funny. So her nice little sorry ass butt is never going to be in that IEP meeting again. I don't give a shit who she is. I don't care. I don't care who she is. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. The superintendent, who's her husband, can get that picture. We'll see how that works out. It's not funny. It's sure as hell not something to smirk about. And I don't do well with that. So that leads me to number 3. Do not be afraid to do what you got to do to get rid of, put in their place, or if you want to call it threaten them, by all means. It's not a threat. It's a fact. Okay? Not a threat. They'll call it a threat. You'll call it a statement. Okay? So what I mean by that is, if a speech therapist is telling me that a nonverbal student only needs 1 time a week of speech therapy, then I'm going to question their license. That's the first thing that's going to come out of my mouth. How did you get that license? I'm not really sure that you should have that license since you're in the business of harming children, not helping. Yeah, I don't hold back, y'all. I mean, these kids are put to the side so many times because we all want this respect, but we're not getting the respect, but we're supposed to respect them. It's a two-way street here. All right. They want to dictate how long an IEP meeting is, which they can't do, by the way. But then they expect you to just do what they want to do. But if you request a time, that ain't happening. Or if you want to change date, God forbid, nope, we're going on with that meeting without you. But if they want to change a date, it's okay. This like one-sided stuff, I do not put up with it anymore. So there's your number 3. No longer put up with the bullshit that comes out of their mouth that you know is bullshit. All right. I had a district. So some school districts use online. It's called Teams. It's through Microsoft. Well, Microsoft and Apple, they don't like each other. Okay. So I don't like Teams because I'm an Apple girl. And Apple doesn't like Teams. And Teams, when Apple gets on Teams, typically cuts out, has problems. You have trouble logging in, this, that, and the other. So I don't do Teams. But guess what? I do Google Meet and I do Zoom, etc. And guess what? Y'all suckers got to accommodate me. You don't get, oh, we use Teams. That's what you use. That's what our district uses. Well, that's great. Thank God technology is so easy to change up. And Zoom and Google Meet are so easy to use. Oh my God. And Google Meet is free. And Zoom, I got Zoom, so I can send you my link. Or you can pay for 1 month and use that huge budget or little, or I don't know, budget that you have and pay the $13. But you're going to use Google Meet, or you're going to use Zoom. You're going to use one of the two. You choose. So you guys have to, so when I said that to a team, because she said, oh, we can't do that. Our district uses Teams. I said, well, I can't do that because Apple doesn't get along with Teams. What do you mean Apple doesn't get along with Teams? Apple doesn't like Teams. She's like, what? I said, Apple and Microsoft don't get along. So therefore, I have all Apple products. So my Apple products don't like Word, and Teams is Microsoft. Word is Microsoft. I still use Word, but it's always jacked up sometimes. She's like, oh, so well, that's what we use. Okay. Well, you're just not going to use it this one time, I guess. You're going to change it up. You're going to change it up. And she kept trying. Well, that's what we use. That's what our district uses. We just switched over to this. I said, that's funny because I work in your state all the time. And, just the district, down the road from you, they use, Google Meet. So you don't use Google Meet? Huh? You don't know how to do that? It's free. So she was like, all right. We'll figure it out. But when I got off the phone, I was pissed. You want to know I was pissed? Because, I was glad that she's going to figure it out. Okay, thanks. But then I was pissed because she initially lied and said, oh, we can't do that. Our district switched. Or we can't do that. We can't do it. Our district switched. So that's what we use. That's what we have to do. Bullshit. Stop falling for it. Argue. Become a professional arguer. I know it's really hard. It's not hard for me, but it might be hard. All right. So you guys got to figure it out. Okay. So 1 is what? 1 is use your voice. 2 is pick one, peacemaker or advocate. You can't have both. 3 is don't fall for the bullshit. Okay. That you're going to have to pick up that voice again off the floor and you're going to have to use it. And the best thing about the bullshit one is their faces when you say what you say. It is priceless. Priceless. Right, Aaron? When I'm telling directors of special education. All right, so I'm dealing with district in Pennsylvania, right? And Pennsylvania is nasty. And so she's coming back. She's got something to say about everything. And I finally pushed her up against the wall where she had to give in. And she didn't like that very much. So now an attorney's come into the meeting. The advocate before me, this is a parent that, had an advocate before me in that state. The funny thing is that director and that advocate knew each other. They had beef with each other. No attorney though, but she didn't know me. All right. And I've got her pushed up against the wall and she's like, whoa, who's this girl? Right. So all of a sudden there's an attorney involved. And schools do this thing when I get involved. So I take over, like if parents do my whole IEP package. So I take over all emails. And so by law, school districts don't have to CC me. I would say 90% do, maybe more than 90%. But the ones that don't, okay, very rarely do they stay not doing it. All right. Because I use my voice and I make them feel like such shit that they finally do it. Now, let me explain that. I'm not putting them down as people. All right. So this is a matter of, dude, are you 2 or are you an adult? I mean, we're adults here. All right. Because I've done this. So you got to remember that advocates like myself and, the handful of advocates that I respect that I would hire for my own daughter. Well, there's only a handful. We do this daily. Okay. So when school districts come at us, we deal with this daily. We deal with this. Most directors are not in meetings. All right. So I'm in more meetings than a special education director. All right. So that's one of the first things I say. Look, I'm in a hell of a lot more meetings than you are. So not only do I play your game, but I play it so much better. I've perfected it. It's like on perfection level or above. So let's not play it. Because let's just squash it now. There's no point. We're all adults. All right. So here's how I say it. I say, the parent has requested that you CC me in all emails. By law, I understand that you don't have to. Nope, you don't have to. You're not pushed up against the wall. You don't have to. There's no law that says you have to. You just have to email the parent back. However, let's look at it like this. Do we want to email the parent emails me, then I email you, and we play that high school bullshit? Or does it make more sense for you to respect an equal team member and their very tiny request and have some damn respect for an equal team member, the most important team member, the parent, and then we all work together? How about it? Then we're all not back in high school. Because in high school, I was worse than I am now, and I don't want to go back there. So can we just, skip the whole you email the parent emails me, I email you, and we're playing Ring Around the Freaking Rosie, and we just happily email everybody. I respond to you on the parent's behalf, and everything's happy, because in all honesty, you say you want to work with the parent collaboratively and you care so much about the child. Why would you disrespect such a simple request that the parent asks of you? Actions speak louder than words, people. So if you're going to say that you care so much about a child, then you care so much about the parents and working together collaboratively, then put your mouth into actions. Show them you care. Show them you respect them. Show them that you're going to be an adult and that you're not going to resort to a child-like act just to be an ass or to participate in what I call power struggles that I don't participate in. So you guys got to start using that. Use your voice. Pick one. Peacemaker or advocate. That doesn't mean you have to be advocate that, that wants all hell to break loose. I don't want all hell to break loose. God, I wish I could go into an IEP and be like, okay, the child needs this, 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 and this, and it's based on this data. And I'd really appreciate it if we can work together and collaborating and making this happen. Or this child needs specially designed instruction in reading. Why? Because there's a lot of deficit in reading. He's 2, 3, 4 years behind, blah, blah, blah. And we work together and we come up with a solution and we get it done. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And for those lucky human beings that get that, is there any such people? Isn't? I don't know. Is there any such people? I don't think there is. But it would be really nice. It would just be really nice if we could just get along. And if you could just cease a little bit from the bullshit. Because I have this bullshit detector. And when that detector goes off, I'm pissed because I don't do bullshit. All right. And bullshit and I don't get along. So if bullshit comes into my aura of space, then it's on. And that's number 3 for you. Stop allowing bullshit to control what you do. Use your voice. Pick one. Peacemaker or advocate. Can't do both. Because if you're a peacemaker, you're all worried about getting along. If you're an advocate, you're doing what you got to do for the child. But you cannot do both. And third is don't fall for the bullshit and don't allow bullshit to control how you act or what you do or how you go about things or allow you, here's a good one, or allow you to shut up, which is what they want you to do. Let me feed her this bullshit or him this bullshit. And shut her up. Shut up. Don't talk. We don't want you to talk. We're going to scare you so that you don't talk anymore. We're going to bring an attorney into the meeting. Ooh. I'm excited. I don't give a shit. Stop giving a shit. Tell them, bring an attorney. I've told school, you know what I've told school districts when I get tired of dealing with them? Can you go get your counsel? Can you bring your counsel to the next meeting, please? Please? Because you suck. I need you to bring your counselor. Your counsel. Please bring your counsel to the next meeting so that you talk some sense and you know what you're doing. And maybe you'll learn some of the laws, one or two. There's few, I will say, school districts that know the laws or know them minimally. But many times they mess up. You have to remember that they don't sit and spill out laws like an advocate does or like a parent may look up all the time. They sure as hell don't like that no matter what they throw at me, it doesn't work. I mean, it just doesn't. And sometimes it takes getting to that point, you know? I wish that I had gotten to this point when I was fighting for my daughter. You know, she's taken care of, she's good now. But like 6.5 years, I dealt with bullshit and gaslighting and manipulation and lies. And oh my God, I would even say verbal abuse in a very passive aggressive way. Threats. CPS still like backfired on him. That was hilarious. Only called twice, but the second time they called on me because I told them I was going to call on them, and then they called before me. It was the stupidest shit ever, and it was all because they caused it. It ended up being the swing to, like, my daughter kept coming home with on her hips, like kind of like if you fell on cement, you know, that's how her hips were every freaking day. And I kept asking, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I mean, I had it all documented, everything. And finally, I went into school multiple times, went to IEPs. It was all on recording. I kept a timeline, literally. I mean, if something happens like that, guys, keep a timeline. Keep a notebook with like literally everything from A to Z, everything that you do, everything that happens, every email, every visit, everything. So anyway, I was in an IEP meeting and I said, fine, I'm going to call CPS. If you guys don't know what happened to my daughter and why she's coming home with these things on the side of her hips and it be open and open wounds, then I'm going to call CPS on you. Well, I got busy with my day afterward and I didn't call and whatever. You know, I was going to call, but I just hadn't right away. Well, anyway, they called first. So when CPS is called, at least in my area, they got to come within like 24 hours or something. So lady comes to my house. She's like, yeah, we got a call, you know, saying that, you know, your daughter. That's my Alexa. I got that new Alexa show and now it's playing Christmas music. You hear it? Alexa off. What the hell? Okay, so she tells me what she came for. So I said, oh, let me get my listening in the, so I said, let me get my timeline for you. So I had everything. I mean, I had a notebook. All right. Not like notebook, like paper notebook. I had like, you know, the notebook where you can put stuff in. And then it had the little tiny things that open and close. I don't know what they're called, 3-ring binder things, but it was a tiny one. And so anyway, long story short, I took that information and I showed her. I had dividers, you know, like I was in high school, right? And I divided everything. And I said, all right, this is what happened. on this date, this date, this date, this date. I mean, she looked at that book and she was like, okay, I will go to the school tomorrow. She knew that had nothing to do with me, that I had been the one asking, and that I had actually asked them, told them that I was going to call CPS first because I played the recording for her. Saying, fine, I'm going to go home and I'm going to call CPS because you guys can't tell me what's going on. And so I played that recording for her, which she kept. And then she went to the school yesterday and she said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I said, thank you, because they won't tell me what's going on. I don't know what's going on, etc. So anyway, she found out that it ended up being a swing on the, and that the metal things, you know how the metal swings like have that triangle thing on each side. And I guess that it like rubbed against her because Sky likes to swing. So that's what it ended up being. And that's what I had initially asked, but they said, nope, it's not the swing. So anyway, long story short, that's how that turned out. So yes, they will retaliate. Yes, they will do things like that, but you can't be scared about that stuff. You just got to learn how to cover your ass. All right. You have to become like a professional ass coverer of this from the school district. Okay. And you have to know that you have to be one step ahead of the game because they are evil and they can get very evil. And if you think that you're an exemption to the rule, you're their prey. Okay? Because you're not. There's nobody exempt. What it is you're not pushing hard enough to where you're going to create action from them like that. That's what it is. Okay? So, and I've found in doing this 15 plus years is that the parents that fight get the shit. The parents that don't do a whole lot, they advocate, but they don't advocate. They don't really know what they're doing. They're trying to know what they're doing, but they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to, activate that knowledge that they have. They're Google PhD. So they're trying to like navigate this whole arena of, I know this stuff. I know this is the law. I know this is this. I know they have to provide this. I know my child deserves this. I know my child needs this. The data states this, but they're not doing anything about it. And I'm in this stuck spot. Well, if it makes you feel any better, my first IEP meeting, those great big huge luggages and that we put on the scale that is always over 50 pounds for me, by the way. And I went in with huge 3-ring binders into the school thinking my Google PhD and wasting of printer ink. Oh yeah, back then, Kim, ink was really expensive. So I wasted all this ink on huge 3-ring binders with all this stuff on autism and things that kids with autism need and the things that should be provided to them and the science and the research and all this stuff. And when my daughter got diagnosed, it was back in the day of like Jenny McCarthy, right? So I'm thinking, I got this. All right. So all you parents who feel like you're not doing enough, Jake, hush. They see me out getting all worked up, so they're barking. Okay. So all you parents who think that you suck, you don't. Because you don't get any worse than where I was. When I go in with this luggage full of knowledge, I'm laying, it took me 15 minutes to lay it across the table, or at least some of it, right? I had no idea what I'm doing. I like laid it across the table, but I didn't know what the hell to do with it. And I'm like, I printed it all out. I took all this time. I thought I was so prepared. It was humiliating. They didn't give a shit. I mean, I even brought my law book. I mean, Pete Wright lives 45 minutes from me. I mean, I brought my rights law book. I mean, I knew my shit. Don't you know? But anybody that has done this for a period of time will tell you knowledge is power. But you can't use that power without knowing how to properly use the knowledge that you have in a way that is action-based. Knowledge is up here. There's no action in it. Knowledge is here. You have to use here to take action. And up here has to be the navigator of how that action happens in order to create what I call impact. I use up here to create impact. I don't do anything without wanting to create impact. If not, it's not productive for me. If I'm sending an email, there's a reason. There's a productiveness to it. There's a point. I'm either responding, I'm either telling you you're wrong and this is what's up, or I'm literally babysitting you and going and forwarding the email back to you so that I can, under each of your stupid statements, respond in red in bold so that I can teach you a lesson on how to write emails to parents and how to appropriately write emails to parents and how to write emails to parents that actually is telling the truth within the law. Those emails piss me off. So everything you do has to be calculated in a way that is action-based. I'll teach you guys this in my membership. So if you haven't joined my membership, y'all just get off and go join so that you can join us tonight. All right? Because we're in the third part of the 4-part series of the IEP process. And then we're moving on the second meeting in January to a different series. All right. We've had 2 guests so far. We have lots to come: psychologists, BCBAs, speech therapists, teachers, you name it. Along with, you're going to hear me on recording in action. Yes. You're going to see where, that mouth of mine that I talk about, that it actually, is true. I think many of my clients on here tell you that it's true, but just so you know. But it's like $47 or something. You get me for 3 hours, which I charge a lot more than that for an hour. And so you get me for 3 hours a month. You get free PDFs and my FERPA request and my first email to the team. You get all kinds of stuff that I'm going to be adding to. And you're always going to get certain products. You'll get half off. And you're going to learn what to do to take action. You're going to learn how to kick some ass in the IEP meeting, not literally, and get your child what they need. That's what I tell parents. What do I do? What I do is, no matter how long it takes, no matter what I have to do, your child's going to get an IEP that's needed and appropriate for them, an on-point IEP. I don't care what I have to do. That's what's going to happen. They will adhere to the law. They will do what they need to do, and your child is going to get an on-point IEP. Period. Period. Done deal. So school districts can hate me. I could be the most hated advocate. I hope I am, actually. I do. I hope that I'm the most hated advocate because I get kids what they need. That would be the best title ever. She's the most hated advocate because she does what she needs to do in the IEP meeting. That is my goal. Because it breaks my heart when you see so many kids failing. Sorry. But this is what gets me, because I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much that I have no problems being a royal bitch to get kids what they need. I will do whatever I have to do to get kids what they need in the educational setting, if it's the last damn thing I do. Because so many kids are swept under the rug. So many kids are thrown away. There's this thing, what I call fake graduation. All right. Kids are fake graduating because schools just let them go, like kind of flipping cards. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how it is. Let's just flip them. Flip the cards. They're just a card. That's, that's it. They're just another thing in the game. If they make it, they make it. If they don't, they don't. We're just going to keep letting them go. So when they graduate on a second grade level, but they graduated because schools aren't telling parents that they actually can go on the alternative assessment track. If your child's 2 years behind, why the hell would you have them on the graduation track? To me, it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It angers me so bad, you don't even know. Like, it just, it makes me nuts because it makes no sense. You're literally putting your child in a situation that they cannot handle. I mean, but schools that tell you, no, they got to be on the graduation track. Don't you want your child on the graduation track? It's going to hurt them. You want them on the graduation track. Do you know it doesn't even freaking matter until they're in high school? It doesn't even matter. 0. So why put them through state assessments at a grade level that more than likely they're not even on? So if your child's in 4th grade, but they're on a 1st or 2nd grade reading or math level, they're taking a 4th grade assessment. This is just hypothetical, by the way. A 4th grade assessment that they don't even know how to do. Why would we do that? Don't they have enough on their plate? Aren't they stressed out enough? They already have disabilities. Why are we putting them through that? It doesn't matter if they're on the alternative assessment track. That's where they should be. They're not on grade level. Who gives a shit, guys? If your child is on the alternative assessment track, who cares if, guess what? It may take them 3 or 4 years after they're 17 and in 12th grade to get to where they need to be. Who cares? Who cares if your child's 25 and acts like they're 18? In the grand scheme of things, does it matter? No, it doesn't. Because when you're 50 and you're acting, 38, that's awesome, right? All I'm saying is it doesn't matter until they're in high school anyway. So if your child is behind, get them the hell off the graduation track. The school's going to tell you, oh, well, they don't qualify. They don't qualify. I'm going to do a live on this one, but that's what they'll tell you. They don't qualify. What it is, they don't get any funding. Don't tell anybody I said that. Don't tell anybody. They don't get any funding. All right. That's it for today. That's it. I mean, I definitely used my voice in 1 hour and 22 minutes and 33 seconds, right? All right. That's right. I said that and a school agreed with me. It's grade level and the assessments. It's all about the money thing. Yeah. No Child Behind Act doesn't even matter anymore. It's like non-existent. All right, guys. So hopefully I will see you guys on the coaching call tonight. If you haven't joined the membership, go join the membership. Okay. You can watch the other 2 in the series, the 4-part series that we're doing right now later. It's recorded. It's on there. But what you get for 40, whatever it is a month, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Okay. So I will talk to you guys soon. I will be on live more and more, but just know I'm crazy busy this week. It is a nutso week before the holiday. It's like IEP. So be patient with me. I will be doing a Q&A on the group. So if you have any questions, make sure you start posting them on the group and we will be in touch. I hope I see you guys tonight. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.